30-second hook. I thought it was the happiest day of my life. My girlfriend Emma was graduating top of her class. Her family was celebrating, and I was ready to ask her father for his blessing to propose. Then her mother pulled me aside, smiled sweetly for the cameras, and pressed a folded napkin into my hand. 5 words. That's all it said. 5 words that turned my stomach to ice and made me question everything I thought I knew about the woman I loved. I didn't say anything. I just smiled back, put the napkin in my pocket, and waited until I was alone to read it again. I met Emma 3 years ago in a coffee shop that doesn't even exist anymore, the kind of place with mismatched chairs and a barista who remembered everyone's order. She was studying for the bar exam, surrounded by color-coded note cards, and I asked if the seat across from her was taken. She said yes, then laughed and said she was kidding. That was Emma. Quick, sharp, always 3 steps ahead of you, and enjoying the fact that you hadn't caught up yet. We build a life together slowly, the way you build something you actually want to last. I met her parents about 6 months in. Her father, Richard, was warm in a distant sort of way, the kind of man who shakes your hand firmly and asks about your job prospects. Her mother, Diane, was different. Diane watched. She'd sit in a room and say very little, but her eyes tracked everything, like she was cataloging you for later use. I used to joke that Diane could read minds. Emma always said, she's just protective. She lost her sister to a bad marriage. Give her time. I gave her time. 3 years of it. And by the morning of Emma's graduation, I thought I'd earned it. I had a ring hidden in my sock drawer, wrapped in an old t-shirt so Emma wouldn't stumble on it during laundry day. I'd already called Richard the week before, my hands shaking as I asked if I could take Emma's hand in marriage. He'd said yes, sounded genuinely pleased, and told me not to tell Diane yet, that she liked surprises on her own terms. I didn't think much of it then. I should have. The graduation ceremony was beautiful. Emma walked across that stage with her chin up, and I swear I'd never been prouder of another human being in my life. Afterward, her family threw a party in their backyard, string lights strung between the trees, a table sagging under the weight of casseroles and cake. Emma floated from group to group, glowing, accepting congratulations, occasionally catching my eye across the yard like we shared a secret. We did. I was going to propose that night, after the guests left, under those same string lights. I was refilling my drink near the dessert table when Diane appeared beside me. She didn't say hello. She just smiled that same catalog smile and said, "Walk with me a minute, sweetheart." I followed her past the garage, out of earshot from the party. She reached into the pocket of her cardigan and pulled out a folded cocktail napkin. She pressed it into my palm and closed my fingers around it like she was sealing an envelope. "Read this when you're alone," she said. "Not tonight. Not here." Then she turned and walked back to the party like nothing had happened, laughing loudly at something Richard said, playing hostess again. I didn't open it right away. I told myself I would wait, like she asked, but the napkin sat in my pocket like a stone the rest of the night. Every time Emma smiled at me, every time she squeezed my hand, I felt that folded paper pressing against my leg, and my stomach twisted a little tighter. I kept thinking about how Diane's eyes had looked when she handed it to me. Not cruel, not smug, scared. Diane didn't do scared. I made it through the party. I even managed to laugh at Richard's terrible jokes about law school debt. But when Emma finally drove home with her cousins to grab something from her old bedroom, I sat alone in my car in the driveway and unfolded the napkin with hands that weren't quite steady. 5 words, written in shaky blue ink. She doesn't know about him. I read it 4 times. Him. Who was him? My first thought, the ugly one, the one I'm not proud of, was that Emma was hiding another man. 3 years, and some other guy existed that I didn't know about. I sat in that car for probably 20 minutes, just staring at the string lights, still glowing in the backyard, feeling something in my chest cave and like a floor giving way beneath me. I almost drove home without saying anything. I almost let it fester into something ugly and silent, the kind of secret that rots a relationship from the inside without either person noticing until it's too late. This is actually the exact kind of story I've seen shared on channels like Hero Dad Stories, where somebody sits on a secret instead of just asking, and it nearly costs them everything. I didn't want to be that guy. So instead of driving home, I found Diane in the kitchen, alone, washing dishes while the party wound down outside. "Who's him?" I asked, holding up the napkin. Diane's hands stopped moving in the soapy water. She didn't turn around right away. When she finally did, her eyes were wet. "You need to ask Emma. It's not mine to tell. But I couldn't let you propose tonight without knowing there's something she's carrying that she's never told you." My throat felt like it was closing. "Diane, please. I have a ring in my sock drawer. Tell me what I'm walking into." She dried her hands slowly on a dish towel, like she was buying herself time to decide something. "When Emma was 19, before you two met, she had a son. She gave him up for adoption. Her father and I supported her decision completely. We still do, but she has never once told another living soul outside this family. Not her college friends. Not you. She carries it like a wound she thinks will reopen the second she says it out loud. I love that girl more than my own life, and I have watched her almost tell you 100 times and stop herself. I couldn't watch you propose to her while she's still hiding half of her heart from you. She deserves better than that, and so do you." I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed running through 3 years of memories, searching for cracks I'd missed, moments where Emma had gone quiet or pulled away for reasons I never understood. I remembered a rainy afternoon last spring when she'd cried during a diaper commercial and brushed it off as hormones. I remembered how she always got strange and distant every June, and how she'd never once told me why. 2 days later, I sat her down on our couch. No ring, no plan, just me holding her hands and telling her that I knew there was something she'd been carrying alone, and that whatever it was, I wanted to carry it with her instead of around her. I watched something break open in her face, 3 years of held breath finally releasing. She told me everything, crying so hard she could barely get the words out. A son named Caleb, born when she was 19, placed with a family 2 states away because she'd been terrified and alone and convinced she had nothing to offer him. She told me she thought about him every single day and was so afraid that if I knew, I'd see her differently, see her as someone who'd given something away instead of someone who'd made an impossible sacrifice out of love. I held her that whole night. I told her I didn't see her as someone who gave up a piece of her heart. I saw her as someone brave enough to choose a stranger's life over her own comfort. And that kind of love didn't scare me away. It made me want to marry her more, not less. I proposed 3 weeks later, not under string lights with an audience, but in our own kitchen on an ordinary Tuesday, because I didn't want the moment tangled up with secrets anymore. I wanted it to be just ours. We're married now, 2 years in. Emma reached out to Caleb's adoptive family last spring, cautiously, respectfully, and they've been kind enough to let her send birthday cards, to let her be a quiet, loving presence at the edges of his life. It's not everything, but it's honest, and honest is enough. I think about that napkin sometimes, still folded in a drawer somewhere in our house. 5 words that could have destroyed us if I'd let fear write the story instead of asking the truth to speak. Diane taught me something that night in her kitchen, something I don't think she even meant to teach me. Love isn't about never having secrets. It's about being brave enough to ask and brave enough to answer.